You ask a good question and they just stare at the floor. 2 seconds go by, then three, and you start to feel that itch to fill the silence. But here's the truth. It's the moment when real communication starts, if you let it. I've seen this single moment change the direction of entire calls. Today, we're breaking down how effective silence can calm emotions, build trust, and get you the information you actually need to resolve the call. I'm Troy Siewert, retired police lieutenant and certified CIT trainer. After 3 decades in uniform, I've learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you could say is nothing. And that silence, used right, can change the whole outcome. Here's what usually happens. We ask a solid open-ended question, wait a second or two, and begin feeling that pull to fill the gap, getting impatient and uncomfortable with the silence. So we start talking again. We repeat the question, clarify it, or simply move on to something else. And just like that, we've taken away their time to think and our chance to really listen. It may feel like we're keeping control, but what we're really doing is losing the time that could have given us everything we needed. So what is effective silence? Well, it's not being passive or intentionally awkward. It's choosing to stop talking on purpose to build rapport, get better information, and help stabilize emotions. It's strategic patience. So how do you actually do it out there on a call? Start simple. One of the best times to use effective silence is right after you've asked an open-ended question, like we talked about in the last video. Pausing after your question gives them time to process what you've asked and to speak freely. After you ask your question, literally count in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's a heavy topic, you can wait even longer. Those few seconds feel like an eternity in the moment. That's when they're thinking about how to answer. Let them have that moment to think. Now, easier said than done, right? Because silence feels uncomfortable. It's hard to do sometimes. Every one of us has that instinct to fill the gap, to say something, to fix things. The hardest part isn't waiting for them to talk, it's stopping yourself from jumping in too soon. So, how do you deal with that? First, manage your own discomfort. Your instinct will be to jump in, to help, correct, or reassure. But resist it. Every time you talk, you're taking the steering wheel back. They need to feel like they still have some control over their own story. Second, use that moment of silence to observe. Watch their hands, their breathing, their face. Is the tension easing? Are they starting to self-regulate? That information helps you know when to step in and when to stay back. Just remember, using effective silence isn't limited only to the time after you've asked a question. You can also use it at other times in the interaction, like after someone makes a strong emotional statement or when they've said something that clearly hit them hard. Those quiet moments buy you time and give them room to process what they're feeling. So why does using silence like this work so well in your favor? Because it takes the pressure off them. When people don't feel pushed to answer before they're ready, their guard drops and they start opening up on their own. It also gets you better intel and context. When you give them quiet space to talk, without interruption, they start to feel heard and safe. And that's when they'll tell you what matters most, what they want, what hasn't worked in the past, and what's really driving their frustration. And that helps you avoid suggesting the wrong thing later and keeps the conversation productive instead of reactive. Using effective silence is a simple way to build rapport, too. Letting them talk helps them feel heard and understood, which makes it far more likely they'll trust you. It also gives you a chance to step back and focus on observing things like their body language, breathing, and tone, whether they're calming down or ramping up. Those are clues you may not see if you're busy doing all the talking. And finally, silence gives people time to gather their thoughts and an opportunity to vent. And that helps them stabilize their emotions and start to regain control. Let's see what this might look like during your shift. You're midway through a call, the person's been talking for a while, venting about how nothing in their life ever works out. And then they suddenly stop, stare off, and say, "I'm just tired of trying." This is where many officers jump in with reassurance. Things like, "Hey, it's not that bad," or "I'm sure things will get better." We mean well, but those words shut the door. Instead, just stay quiet. Give it 5 seconds and let them think. Then they might add, "I've been trying to get clean, but I can't keep a job long enough to stay in the program." That extra sentence tells you so much more about what's really driving the crisis. You didn't have to talk them into it. They found it on their own because you gave them the time they needed. Here's the bottom line. Keeping silent can be really hard because it goes against all our instincts. We want to fix things and help people and do it all quickly on our timeline. That's the job, right? But silence is one of the most effective tools you have for gaining trust, reading the scene, and seeing the full picture. When you ask a question, don't rush to fill the gap. Count to 5. Let them have that moment to think and use that moment to observe. That quiet pause can give you more useful information than 5 more questions ever could. If you want to handle your next crisis call with more confidence and control, hit subscribe and join the community of officers training to respond, not just react. In the next video, we'll look at minimal encouragers, the small words and gestures that keep people talking once silence has done its job. Until next time, stay safe and train to respond, not just react, so you can influence the outcome when it matters most.